I just made went ahead and made a part 7. Wait, this is part 7, so. So I was like, I was explaining, as much pornography as they have around, they might as well actually have an actual movie in theaters that is actually pornographic. Like, all the way. Like, if you're gonna have that much pornography on the internet, you might as well have an adult movie also that you can pay for. Like, I don't see why they didn't do that. And they're probably distracted by something. I don't know what it is. But if it was about money, they would have done that. It's not about money. It's about consuming energy and time from people with a lot of potential so they can take advantage of those people with a lot of potential sexually. That's one of the actual benefits of somebody having money and then somebody else not having money. Because you can take advantage of somebody that's poor but looks good and decent, even though you're ugly, but you can take advantage of them sexually using money. But I'm offended by it, particularly because of people that I know that have a lot of potential that were actually taken advantage of sexually, and they use money. And I said that's not fair. And for them to actually give into that though and do it that way and receive money through sexual acts or whatever, I was disappointed because I was like, they just didn't realize the ugliness that I seen in people, like the way that they use, like they didn't see it, and I was just disappointed. And what made me even madder is like I was just really disgusted by it, and I couldn't change it, and I was like, basically, I was offended, and I felt like it was extremely rude, and it made me depressed, and I felt really homesick, and I started having these dreams about people in these facilities. Like, I don't know what kind of facilities they were, but they're basically, oh, it was a lab. It wasn't just a cloning facility. It was a lab. Like I don't, and it was probably underground. But if there is that, then most likely nobody gives a fuck about it because of the pornography that they didn't even fucking do anything about. Because it's so recent and just smacked everybody in the face like bam, like, and for some reason everybody thinks it's just a natural part of the way the world works. No, that's not how it works. Because it has not really actually worked that way. Like, there's dirty shit back then, and also, like, there's like the medieval time and blah blah. I don't know anything about the medieval time. We're in the medieval time. We're in the Jurassic time. That means things are not controlled. That things happen by accident, and things are out of our control, and they're predators. Just like there are sexual predators, what makes you assume that there's going to be a normal guy that acts normal that's not a sexual predator? If he has a genitalia, if he has a dick and a pussy, then he's a predator regardless, is what I'm saying. Alright? And if you're not a sexual predator, you're a psychological predator, alright, is what I'm telling you. Like, there's something that you feed off of. And some people, they feed off the control and trying to control other people. And some people feed off of attention, they want attention. And then some people are just different. Some people don't feed off of any of that. And those are the people that are missing. Those are the people that are literally being kidnapped or wiped out or some shit like that. Or used sexually. As in clones. And fucking raped. Like, they're being fucking cloned and raped. And basically, nobody gives a fuck. Alright, these black people, I mean, I felt like they could have more potential, right? But they waste it by trying to, like, both of them trying to waste it by showboating or feeling like one's better than the other. I don't even know how they coexist together. I don't, because if you're saying that they were slaves at one point, and they came all the way from Africa, and these white people came from Europe, and Christopher Columbus, and blah blah, and they took the land from the Indians. I basically believe you was basically slacking anyways. Basically, like you took land from the Indians, but I mean I'm saying, where'd the Indians go? Where are they at now? Like, are they poor? Are you keeping them poor? Are you keeping them from advancing technologically? Are you keeping them from having their own land so they can't maintain a facility underground to ensure that nothing actually happens? Like, as in, like, they're not taken advantage of, like, literally like sexually and shit like that, and or getting their daughters kidnapped because they're pretty. Like, if I was you, I would just realize one thing: if you're married to a girl, I don't see why you would make it um such a like a great thing that everybody needs to know. Like, because if you really love that person that much, nobody needs to know about it. Is what I'm saying. So it's obviously not about love. It's about appearance and how you think other people look about you. And that's what's wrong with everything, because everybody wants to look like a particular thing to where they will do anything to look like a particular thing, basically. So society is ugly, as you can see, very ugly. I don't really like getting on YouTube. I don't really like getting on the internet, is what I'm saying, because it's highly controlled. It's highly controlled. Like, it's monitored, very much so. Like, I mean, it's monitored as in monitored, like a monitor lizard, like a sexually perverted monitor lizard that's like extremely intellectually like agile and looking at every single like pornographic site that another person's looking at and like, oh, I want to jack off with you, like that, and perverted shit. And like, these fucking government people are fucking very perverse, and they're very degenerate. They're very, some of them are very artistic. I don't know any of them, but I'm pretty sure you would have to be artistic to be perverted. So, anyways, but that's what I'm telling you, like that about mentally agile or intellectually agile, like a monitor. So what I'm saying is, like, they're predators. All right, everybody is a predator, especially when they're telling you that they need to maintain control over you to protect you. No, bitch, because you're telling me that I can't smoke marijuana. Alright, bitch, and I was born in the United States on this land, and you're telling me I have to pay property tax. No, bitch. That means, guess what? No shit. Like, duh. Like, what the fuck you think I was gonna do? Like, not be a bitch? Like, I mean, shit. I'm either dead. Either dead, too. But I don't know. Because everybody else lives in wooden houses and you live in a freaking underground facility that's all metal, and these construction workers helped you make, or clones of yourself. What I'm telling you is, how come you haven't obtained these, like, especially these rich people and these elites, obtain that technology to clone yourself, like just to clone yourself? What I'm telling you, if you have that much money, you better get somebody else to order that technology for you. It's really not technology. Alright, they're just tools. The technology is in the tools. You have to utilize the tools to actually have the technology. Alright, you got all the bitches, right? So get one of those bitches, fertilize her egg with one of your cells so they can divide. It's called cytokinesis. And then you'll have one of yourself again. You'll have another yourself. Or, yeah, and you'll have another one yourself. But what I'm basically thinking is that somebody already been cloning themselves. And all these construction workers are just really, they are disguised as people that are really working, and some of the people that are actually working with the construction workers are actually maybe are actually in in society itself, or actually working with the actual clone construction workers. Then they don't know that they're clones because they're disguised as different people. But either way, though, if you wanted to be a construction worker, it wouldn't be hard for you to be eluded, like, to you to be basically like not really aware that all these other construction workers are really clones and they're not really real people. but you're gonna be working on facilities that are like highly armored and stuff like that, and underground, and basically hard to get through, highly secure, and they're highly secure so they can grab your cells from out in real life and modify them through whatever, because they want you to go through environmental things out in real life too, that activate your gene expression and cause you to evolve into something else also. But you're also evolved because of what you actually are. You're not from those facilities or anything like that. You're from out on the streets, is what I'm saying. And people out on the streets, they get information. All right, they get information, and maybe that they shouldn't get, or some shit like that, like miraculously, or just maybe they're fortunate enough to have received a particular type of information. But what I'm saying is, they'll take your, like in blood donating centers, like I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. Like I believe they take your blood, take it to a cloning facility, and they'll clone you and molest you. All right, when you're little, like they'll molest you, and they'll fuck you, they'll torture you, they'll make furniture out of you. And there's so much messed up shit that I know, like for a fact, like is going on. Because if you're an artist, you're gonna do everything that you would ever even think of if you had the power to torture and mutilate and molest little children after you clone them, or even kidnap little children and mutilate and molest and do that. And the problem is that it's not a problem to have that type of like thirst and hunger. It's the problem that who that thirst and hunger actually affects. Okay? Alright. That hunger and thirst affects everybody, including yourself, including myself. When I have a thirst and a hunger, how am I supposed to get rid of it? How am I supposed to extinguish it? I can't. Because it's just not realistic. It's not realistic. And somebody's gonna get mad about it, and eventually somebody's gonna stand out and be like, no, that everybody stands out for that. You just don't know, because we're all in different separate places that they want us to be at a particular time. But you're not wrong, because everybody else noticed the same exact thing that you noticed. So just like mainly every dude noticed, but mainly no female, because what every dude noticed is something that is very particularly disturbing to them. And I'm pretty sure that we all know what we're talking about. We all know, all right, because we've all been feeling it. It's not just me or whoever else is like absolutely sure that this shit is actually going on. This is actually going on, and everybody's basically they're offended and disturbed by it. They're affected by it, and it's traumatic. But it's mainly more traumatic to a male. All right, and what's worse is how these females will try to tease those particular males and hurt them more, bro. And man, they're gonna hurt you more. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna hurt you more if you let them around you. If you keep on letting them into your life, into your space, like I've been saying, like you are a male, and they are female. They are not us. We have different goals. We have a different path. We have a different plan, a fucking different plan. That means you gotta breathe them off you. You gotta breathe their energy off you. You have to detract them away from you, because I can attract myself by myself. All right. If you're yourself and you can attract yourself, there's no such thing as opposites and negatives attract. That doesn't even make sense, right? That everything is attracted, because everything is one thing in the universe. Right? There's no space in between it, because it's all the same space. Alright? But it's just to say that, like, physical pain seems like it's in a different space, but it's a part of the same exact universe in a galaxy. Even though you don't feel it all the time. I don't know where pain comes from, but I know it's infinite and it's not measured, and it doesn't make it. It's senseless to live when something that excruciating exists, and you can't measure it because it's so excruciating. All right, you can become possessed by it. All right. So what I'm saying is, breathe them off of you. because you're not going to fulfill your fantasies, all right, when they won't let you, when they want to get you in trouble, all right, when you want to fulfill their fantasy, the fantasy that you want to fulfill. What we do, guys, man, all right, or boys, or whatever you want to be, is what we're going to do is we're going to work together, all right. We're going to detract what is actually not right, which is pornography and the filth that the mothers that they say that they have motherly love and not really like understanding will promote. They basically promote that, right? Or they wouldn't be acting in the pornography. But it's not good to take advantage of them either. Also at the same time, but it's not good for them to just be there and out in the wild and running freely as good as they look, and for me to not to be like, I'm about to touch her ass, like I'm about to touch her titties just immediately, like that's just me. Like I can't control that. There's nothing that about how I'm feeling that is that strong that says it's not okay. Because when I'm feeling that way, I'm telling you, like I don't care what anybody else thinks, but it's how they be reacting. Like if you actually found yourself in a situation to where you wanted to like touch their butt or something. There's this one girl I touched her butt. She was like, "Don't touch my butt." I was like, I was basically confused because I didn't like it was basically like I touched her, like she was sitting next to me and I grabbed her butt like that, and she was like, and she got up, she was like, "Don't touch my butt." Like she didn't get like extremely mad or anything, but I felt like she would not let me touch it again, like as in like actually intimately interact with her, like on a really sexual level. Like so I like basically that made me, that was one thing that made me like even more depressed. So like what I'm saying is like all the guys, we're gonna have to work together on this one. Like I'm telling you, like what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make it to where like we're not taking advantage of the females that already exist. Like we create our own females, right, from like our own resource basically, and the females that we have, we can basically utilize in such a way, as utilize as in like Pokemon. Like we can let each other interact with those females, like I mean regardless of age. If we feel like, especially if it's made from our DNA, we're gonna be the ones that have them on a leash basically. Alright, so if it's us, then it's gonna be fair to have them on a leash, as long as we can make a proper determination. But what's actually wrong is what if somebody's acting like you though? Like I said, Jeepers Creepers, that explanation of the eyes and taking people's genetic information and pretending to be them, that's what's disturbing. So just forget about that. I just said that. The only other thing I can really think of is just basically cloning yourself. But it wouldn't really matter though if somebody was still acting like you though, and they took genetic information and was pretending to be you, because don't you think they'll pretend to be you to fuck yourself? So I know that is pretty much how, but the idea that I was basically having is that like we clone, like basically make females of ourselves, right? And we can have them like we can have them 13 years old, 14 years old, 12 years old, 11, whatever. We can have them like 23 years old, 30. We can have them in different age brackets that we want. All right, as long as that they belong to us. And it's up to the other guy to determine whether or not it's okay for another guy to mess with any of these females that are actually him in any of the age brackets that they want to mess with it. Alright, so I don't know if anything's wrong with that or not, because nobody really said anything was wrong with it. So especially if it's you, that's basically like I don't know how you can say that's wrong for a child to fuck an adult though. Like I don't know how you can say that's just wrong and you're gonna get in trouble for it though. When I was a kid, I always wanted to fuck a woman. Like I didn't really necessarily want to fuck her. I always wanted to like touch their boobs and stuff like that, and like I was really attracted to their boobs back then. And I really wanted to touch their boobs and stuff like that. And man, like they would probably think it was wrong for a little child to want to do something to them, but me though, I wanted to do something to some of these women though, like, but I guess that's why I'm explaining what I'm explaining now, and how unfortunate life really actually is, and the darkness and meaninglessness of life, and how I'm really not actually being funny. I'm really actually being serious. Like, life is really depressing, and it doesn't really mean anything. Like, you have pain that you can't measure. You have all this sexual filth everywhere, but you can't really do anything, but it's around you, and it teases you too. And I'm trying to figure out, why is it teasing me, and especially now that I know that I'm not going to interact that way. I'm not going to interact that way, and like after you chose, you're not going to interact that way. You can act. It's like I'm not taking away my actual freedom to interact that way, but what I'm saying is, like, I actually feel like I literally made a determination that it's really not appropriate. Like, I'm not going to interact that way. So I have to literally, every time I feel like the influence is coming upon me, I have to breathe it off. If I feel like there's a very beautiful female that's really extremely attractive to me, especially sexually, and is sexually stimulating mentally, psychologically, I have to breathe it off, because it's just gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt me psychologically, and it might cause me to hurt myself physically. And I tried to make it. I tried to commit suicide multiple times when I was younger, and they were failed. I tried to hang myself, and I blacked out when I hung myself, and somehow I stood back up, and I don't know how I did it. It was a miracle, but I tried to electrocute myself with a PS3. Matter of fact, I put this 9mm bullet in this big ass, kind of like cylinder metal tube onto this pellet gun, and I literally had my finger like this with the thing up in my mouth like this. I was like, just going like that, tapping on it, like playing with it, and it was not on safety. And I'm telling you, if that pellet had hit that 9mm bullet, that would have went straight through the back of my head. I don't know how. But all I'm saying is, you really don't want to attract attention to yourself. Also, you don't want to attract attention to yourself. But some people don't. Some people are in a situation to where they attracted so much attention that there's other people that don't like them. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, that those people that don't like you are the ones that you have to particularly pay attention to. And you, like, some things you might want to remember about this, or what I'm saying, because just like I said, it's vain being righteous. It's vain being a righteous person. So, but don't be a filthy ass person. Don't. I'm just saying that all aspects of life, whether you try not to be filthy, is filthy. You actually have to be the non-filthy person who doesn't fucking speak bullshit and lies, and still be filthy when you communicate truth. You can't communicate truth and still be filthy. You can't do that. You actually have to let the filth go. Alright? You have to let it go. Alright? You can make dark, energetic music to try to stimulate yourself, and to try to satisfy some sort of hunger to hold you off. Stimulate yourself through dark, traumatic music, like that particulates to you in some type of way. Put a little bit of hatred in it. Stimulate your music with hatred, right? Not filth, but anger. Stimulate your music with hatefulness and anger and darkness and with madness and insanity. Alright? And the hate for the filth and the things that women do to boys. Not man, boys. To the innocence of their person and their character and who they really are. Because it's not fair. Who you are as a boy is who you are. You were born that way. Alright? That doesn't mean that you have to be a weak little boy. You don't have to be a mama's boy or nothing like that. You don't have to be like what everybody is making you assume that you are when you want to be a boy. Alright? It doesn't mean that a boy is not more powerful than a man. A man is something a woman wants, because they want you to be their boy toy. A man is a boy toy. That means that they are sexually stimulating to a woman. Alright? That doesn't mean that you're doing anything productive. Alright? You're just being an influence on how to be sexual to a woman. But you're not being the absolute. You're not being the alpha and the omega, because the alpha and omega is a boy. That's who he is. And if you change that to be sexually stimulating to something that you're not, then I guess you are a man, because that's what makes a woman, or whatever. I don't know what a woman is, but they're not a boy. Alright? Because I have a dick. Alright? And my mom is not the only one who gave me my features. My dad gave me my features too. So that's why I have light skin. Alright? I'm not black. Alright? That's why I don't have like extremely nappy hair or extremely straight hair. Or whatever, but that's besides the fact. And what I'm saying is that a woman wants to change who you are because of sex and what turns her on. But when it doesn't have anything to do with sex anymore, you become old and you can't even get sex anymore, then what matters? Only your soul. Maybe the experience will help you in your soul anymore or whatever, but I can't say that for me though. So I don't, every time I had a sexual encounter was when I was really young, and I had a sexual encounter. So it doesn't I don't have to be a man having a sexual encounter, because I don't want to be a man having a sexual. I don't want to feel like a man fucking a girl. I want to feel like a boy fucking a girl. But if a girl doesn't like a boy fucking her, then I guess I'm not fucking her. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, how attractive, how good would you feel about yourself feeling like somebody that's all like duty like I want to be all like a dude and stuff like that, like somebody that I really don't want to feel like, and fucking a bitch. Like, that's dirty. That's dirty and wrong. That's like basically you acting like a dude and fucking sticking your dick in a pussy. Like, what the hell is a pussy? Like a fucking little tiny dick with like a hole in some a hole in the testicles or some shit. Like, man, it's kind of sad because I can't lie. It's hard not to be curious about it, but that's what makes it even more interesting, because of how dark and depressing it is to just deny it. Like, and it also stimulates this black energy, like this blackness. But you know that somehow you cleansed yourself. Like, I cleansed my spirit somehow. I feel like